being one of few African-American families that also shaped just how I did life and viewed life. On one hand, I definitely struggle with my identity because, I don't think that was biblical, but okay. In this conversation, he goes from like seemingly loving, sweet dad to cussing me smooth out. That was the last time I'd ever talked to my dad. That was our last call together. I think your dad's going to die. What did he just say? He said it again. He goes, I think your dad's going to die. Okay. We swear this dude has some kind of connection to the Holy Spirit. Bro, like 3 weeks later, I found out my dad died. Oh. You got Thanksgiving coming. You got Christmas coming. I'm like, how am I going to get presents for the babies? For Jazz? It's like, I'm asking to myself all these like very practical internal questions. And God's just like, man, if you don't like this, out. I could tell for them it was awkward. But I'm like, as awkward as this moment is, I know what God told me. While I'm not preparing a message, I get to be with people more.
I feel like a lot of people think that the role of a pastor is simply to preach on Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of How Pastors Are Made. I'm your host, and this is the show where we go through the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups and downs of becoming and being a pastor. Super excited to hop into today's episode, but before we do that, I have to let you know, really soon on October 18th, there's an event coming, and it's for every single believer. If you're trying to figure out how to increase your impact, how to increase your influence, or maybe even increase your income, you need to be at Speak Up Church, where we will show you how using your voice, your testimony, and the knowledge and life that God already gave you is all you need to do all three of those things. Get your ticket at churchwiththevoice.com. With that being said, man, I've been ready to meet this guy. It's been a few months now, right? Yeah, a few months. And so
since we first kind of started talking. Yeah.
And so I've been like, man, we gonna get into this. And then when I talked about having you on the show, of course, I went and looked at the church that you're pastoring at.
Yeah.
I was like, I've seen that. Where I seen that?
Yeah.
And then it's the head pastor. I've seen him all over the internet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was like, that's where I've seen this church at. Like, okay. So before I say anything, feel free to introduce yourself and let us know, where do you pastor?
Yeah, man. So my name is Antoine, Herron. And I am the campus pastor at Lake Point Church, North Dallas, which is in like the Richardson area. We're a multi-site, kind of a church. So we have multiple locations, but I get to lead the one in the Richardson area.
All right. And so with that being said, I got a ton of questions, but my first question was, I would usually never start with a question like this.
You're good. Being
a pastor at a church that is multi-campus, how does that even work?
Yeah, man. So, there's a lot I could say logistically. I think, man, this may sound like a super churchy thing to say, but I think in any multi-site, multi-organization, you think Starbucks, even like Walmart, like anything like that, there has to be a level of clarity with leadership, but ultimately unity. So all of us are running the same direction. We're headed the same way. Within that, we have multi-layered leadership. So it's like I have leaders and pastors that are over me that, I say that they're like my bosses, but man, honestly, I'm honored to be led by them. They have eyes for me as not just as a pastor, but also as a man. So because of that, we get to model like what even biblical submission looks like even in leadership. So I would say unity, clarity. We come together all the time as a staff. In fact, coming up next week, we have what's called all staff, where literally every single staff member across Lake Point comes together. We all drive in just to spend time together, worship together, talk about things coming up, logistics we need to pray through and process through, and then implement. But I think part of that right there is just keeping us on the same page, where otherwise the enemy could have us feeling like we're scattered.
Okay. Now let me get into the things I would really normally get into.
Yeah.
To start this episode, I say it all the time, every pastor has their own unique journey. So my very first question is, where are you from and what was your upbringing like?
Yeah, man. So I'm originally from a small town called Rockport here in Texas. It's outside of the Corpus Christi area, just South Texas. Think beach town, touristy town, fishing. So it's one of those things where, like, if you've never been there and you want to go for a vacation, or you want to, maybe you're older and you want to go retire, perfect place. Growing up, though, not the place to be. Like as kids, like my wife is from there as well, and there was this kind of thought process that every kid had, at least when I was growing up, that there's nothing to do. So that was kind of my upbringing. I'm a church kid, so I grew up in a Christian household, single mom. With the help of my grandma, my mom raised me. My dad was not in the picture. I could come back to that if you want. But that really shaped my upbringing of just how I would see God, how I would experience church and Christianity, and even just friendships and relationships. I think this is an important detail as well. And we can go wherever you want to go, bro. But, we were, Rockport is predominantly a Caucasian town. So being one of few African-American families, that also shaped just how I did life and viewed life and friendships and just all the things. So,
yeah. Man, I know that experience. So my family's originally, my dad's from Mississippi, but the rest of my family, we're all from Southern California.
Okay.
And born in the Los Angeles area. We lived in what's called the Inland Empire. And then at one point when I was pretty young, in elementary still, we moved to Redlands, California.
Okay.
Which at the time was like, let's just say I knew every single black person. And I could count all the black people in the school on my fingers.
Yeah.
Like legitimately and I might still be able to name all of them when I was in like 3rd or 4th grade. Literally every single one of them I knew, because it was just a few of us. And now I'm thinking about, can I do it? I'm in my head. I think I get them all, but I'm not gonna do it right now. So I know what it's like to be in a place where it's like, yo, it's really just you. Mm. You look in your classroom, it's just you. In multiple classrooms, it's still just you. My family moved there and we were like half the black population, me, my older brother, and my younger sister. Legitimately, in the entire school. So that's an interesting way to grow up. How do you feel that specific dynamic has shaped your life?
Yeah, so I think on one sense, I struggled with my identity because I think, and maybe you can relate to just based upon what you said, I've resonated with so much of like, yeah, I knew where all the black people were, what all the black people were doing. Half of us were related, most of us were related. So it's like I knew I had context to the black culture that was in my small town. So I resonate with that. I think though, on one hand, I definitely struggle with my identity because, in most spaces, I was the only one that looked like me. So I struggled with relatability, with feeling seen, with feeling like I could be authentically who I was. There were a lot of times where, I would get made fun of because people thought like I sounded like a white person, whatever that means, right? I didn't sound like other black people that they encountered. So all of that mess with just my identity and, in Jesus, but even just in general as a kid. What I would say, though, on the more positive note, bro, I could talk to anybody. And I think that I didn't realize that going through that, while there was a lot of painful moments, now, and just to give this context, even being at Lake Point, navigating, my campus specifically, we have so many cultures represented in my campus and even throughout our church as a whole. And I'm able to find some kind of connection point even as I pastor people. And when I look back and think through it, it's because of how I grew up. I had white friends. I had Vietnamese friends. I had Hispanic friends. And we were just friends. We didn't look at each other but at the same time, our cultural distinctions mattered and we learned from one another. And I didn't realize how beneficial that would be to now.
Yeah, that's good because I can tell you right now, there are times when people are have this perception of what you are supposed to be and experience growing up.
Correct. Yep.
And they are completely clueless to how your different experience is going to be amazing for you down the line.
Yeah.
Like the hard times for you are usually going to be beneficial for you.
It's good, bro.
Sometime later.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can definitely relate to a lot of that.
Yeah, bro.
You said have to black folks with your family.
I'm telling you, bro.
Listen, we went to Crafton. We left San Bernardino, which was all black and Hispanic. I mean, technically there's some white folks there, but it was all black and Hispanic. We moved to Redlands. There was me, my brother, my sister, Jolena, her brother Michael, Quincy, Ross, his older brother, and Julian Newman. What's his last name, Newman? I forgot his last name. But his name is Julian. All the black people in the entire school.
My guy hit the roll call, y'all.
All of them.
I love it.
In the entire school.
You knew him. Yeah, you knew them all.
Yeah. And then at one point in the fourth grade, Ermy Walker came to school, you know?
Wow.
Like, it's crazy how you can like pinpoint every single last one of them.
Oh, yeah.
It's just an interesting way of growing. When we moved to Texas, I was still in high school when we moved to Texas.
Okay.
I would never try to name all. I would have to name half the school.
Yeah, right.
That's not a thing.
Right.
You'd be better trying to name all the white people, to be honest with you.
Facts.
So yeah, that's just a very interesting thing. But so moving forward, you say you were raised in the church. What denomination were you raised?
Yeah, so it was kind of so they would probably say even now they're non-denominational just by distinction of just category of denomination. So non-denominational, but there was definitely a bent towards the charismatic and the Pentecostals. So that for me was very normal. Now this was again, predominantly white church, but there was still a flare of that Pentecostal gifts of the Spirit, charismatic, speaking in tongues. So for me, that was very normal growing up. Mm-hmm. Like there was no like weirdness to it. I never thought. Now looking back, there was definitely some things that I'm like, okay, I don't think that was biblical, but okay. But for me growing up, there was a framework that I was like, oh, God is real and He's all powerful and he could do a lot. So I didn't like doubt that. It wasn't until I grew up later that I would go, oh, not only does not everybody believe the same thing, even in Christendom, the kingdom, but there's fights over that. There's tension over that. Some of that crosses socioeconomic barriers even. And I didn't realize that until growing up. But my church experience, man, for me, was very, very safe. God allowed that season of my life when I got saved at that church. I was like 8 or 9 years old, got saved there, got baptized at this church. Like my mom and I were plugged in at this place. These people were our family. Like this was my safe place. It was even the place that I've talked about it publicly on some other places, but like this is the place where it was prophesied over me that I would be a pastor, like at this church. And at the time, I was like, what? Like, what does that even mean? Like, how do you know I'm going to be a pastor? Like, I was just I was a kid, but God brought that back to my memory later. But I realized, it started there. It started at that place, at that church, even through all of the tensions, maybe of race and just socioeconomic barriers and cultural barriers. That was still the place where, like, I found Jesus.
Man, so you said you were saved around 8 years old. That's a young age to accept Christ. Now,
yeah, everybody
has their own story.
Yeah,
what was it for you that made you finally surrender and say, you know what, I admit I need Jesus and I accept Jesus?
Yeah, man. So I'll give you kind of two different points. So the first point was what I just mentioned: gave my life to Jesus. Honestly, at that age, 8 or 9, it just made sense to me. And the evidence was through my loved ones that confirmed, like, hey, this is a real thing. God is real. Jesus is real. And through what I saw through just, again, the power of God at work. Again, it was normal for me. So I just believed God. Like there was no doubt. So for me, it was a simple, out of the mouth of babes, right? Children, a lot of things are just simple, whereas adults, we make them complex. So for me, it just made sense. God is real. My friends and family believe in him. I kind of felt the goosebumps a little bit and a little stuff on the inside. I guess something's real. And I just trusted that. Yeah. After that, kind of continue with your first question a little bit though on this. Sometime after that though, the church that we were at, there was a falling out, unfortunately, and we stopped going. At the time, I didn't understand the full context of what had happened, but we just stopped going to church. That changed the way I even heard music, the way I heard just Christianity. I knew that God was real, but my safe place was gone. And I'm like, oh, so because that's gone, maybe you're gone too. So that would kind of shape my middle school years and even going into high school. Around my sophomore year, though, I got introduced to Christian hip hop, and I was like, Christian, what? Like I had no idea it was a thing. I knew hip hop and I knew Christian music, and in my interpretation at the time and my mindset and perspective, Christian music was whack. I was like, it's all just shout to the Lord. And mind you, I love that song, but I'm just saying, but at the time I was like, this is not good music. So a friend of mine introduced me to Christian hip hop, some cats like Lecrae, Grits, Cross Movement, KJ52, like, and I'm like, oh, these guys are talking about God and the music, not awful. Okay, I can get down with this. So God used that to kind of pull me back into a relationship with him. The second kind of point, though, was at this time, my wife and I were dating. We're boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. But I graduated high school and I went into the military. I was in the military in the Navy specifically. I was in the United States Navy for 5 years. 19 years old, I go overseas for the first time. This is my first time really being an adult, and I'm overseas away from like all of my friendships and accountability. So just to keep it 100, I'm like, I could wild out and nobody would know. So I had a decision to make of like, am I really about this Jesus thing or not? And I feel like God was kind of like, I mean, I'm here for you, but you got to choose. Like if you receive what I've done for you and want to continue to do that in your adult life, not just in your childhood. So got plugged into a couple of groups, met some friends over there in the military that just kind of helped me realize that I do want to actually live for Jesus. And it was through those relationships that I would say I had kind of like another point of, as an adult, Jesus isn't just my savior. He's the Lord of my life. And I want my life to be a reflection of that.
That right there, that's a point that, golly, I think there's a lot of people need to hear that. He's not just savior. He's also Lord.
Yeah, man.
He get to tell you what to do.
Yeah, man.
And you don't get to tell him no.
Yep.
It's
real.
I think that's a piece that a lot of, especially here where we live in America,
facts.
A lot of believers miss the part where it's like, no, he gets to tell you that you don't get to wild out. You don't get to talk to so-and-so crazy. Nope. You do have to turn the other cheek.
Yep.
It's like, well, I don't want to. I don't like it. It's not right. That's right.
Facts.
You got to sacrifice.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot. So the fact that you came to that conclusion, like he's not just savior.
Yeah.
He's also Lord.
Yeah.
That's a big thing that changes just about everything.
Yeah, man.
Changes just about everything. So you're in the military for 5 years. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you go over there 18, 19 years old.
I was 19.
19. So you get back and you're what, 25?
Whatever that is. Yeah, 24. Yeah, 24. Yeah.
Did you start in ministry overseas?
Yeah, this is good.
Oh, man.
This is good.
So you're where are you stationed first of all?
Okay, so I was in Okinawa, Japan. For 3 of those 5 years, I was overseas, Okinawa, Japan.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you start ministry overseas. How do you get into ministry as a person who is a believer, but I'm assuming not a minister when you go over there?
Yeah.
And you're not even home in America. Like, how does that even work that you start to enter into ministry overseas?
Yeah, man. I think it's all back to the power of relationship. So throughout that time, let's see, this was 2011. I go to Japan and excuse me. And I get plugged into this Bible study, make some friendships over there. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm not the only Christian here. I'm not the only, it's like, that, but you don't really like know it until you experience it in a way that changes you, right? So it's like I knew that there were probably other Christians here, but I didn't see it until I met this group of people. So that I started serving though. I'm a musician. So I was a musician before I was a pastor, and I still am a musician. So because of that, God has always used music, like I said before, with Christian hip hop. But I started volunteering at the local youth group on base, and the church that was on base too, like the chapel, and they needed a drummer. So I just was like, oh, I'll play drums for y'all, and they kind of found that I could sing too, and At one point, I was playing drums and singing at the same time. And, bro, I fell in love over just serving the Lord using my gifts. I like fell in love with that, not knowing what God was really doing. So simultaneously with that, I'll put a pin in that for a second. I was also serving in youth ministry. And I always tell people, to answer your question more directly, my claim to fame in ministry was me sitting with a group of 6th grade boys. And I was leading a 6th grade boys small group. And that was like, I'm teaching them something. I'm helping them process through what the message was. And I was just a faithful small group leader. And that was where I felt like, oh man, I actually like this. I think I could do this. So another moment, I'd say like a year later, the guy that was leading worship, his wife was in the military. They got orders to come back stateside. And I was playing drums for them as well at the time. And they were like, hey, his name was Sean. Shout out to Sean if you ever see this. Love you, bro. Sean ended up coming back over here. And they were like, well, Sean's leaving. We need somebody. We think it should be you. We need you to be like our new worship leader. And I'm like, no. I'm just a drummer. They're like, yeah, cool. So we need you to learn guitar in a month, and we need you to start leading worship. So here I am a month later, and I'm leading worship for the first time, not knowing that was what God had intended for me to do for a big chunk of my life. So I'm leading worship. Was it great? No. Was I a good singer at the time? Not really. Was I a good guitar player at the time? Not really. But God used it. Like God used that as a way for me to one, realize what he really wanted me to do, and to be okay with small beginnings and not feeling like I had to have it all figured out at the time.
Yes. That's pretty cool. So you're overseas leading a youth group. You end up leading worship. And
yeah.
You're not even really prepared to do so when it happens. I kind of feel that a lot. 'Cause the first time I was told to go sing, I was like, yo, I'm not a singer.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll beat the drums. I'll do that.
Wow.
But do you sure you want me to do this?
Sure.
Okay. I guess this is what we're doing.
Wow.
If it's bad, it's your fault.
Right.
But so you move from that. What happens when you leave the military and you actually come back home? How does your ministry journey continue from there?
Yeah. So before coming back stateside and getting out and all that, another moment happened that year. It kind of is a simultaneous thing with my dad too. So I started having a couple of dreams, and this is now just to give you some context. I had put out 2 albums at this point as a Christian hip hop artist. I'm like, I'm a rapper. I'm gonna put out music. So I put out music, hoping that when I got out of the military, I would get signed. That was my goal. So I'm like, Lord, I'll serve you at church and all that. But what I really want to do, though, is I want to get signed, and you're going to make it happen because blah, blah, blah. Like, I just thought that because I devoted the time to it and I thought I was dope, God was going to automatically bless it. And that's not what happened. But anyway, God came to me in a dream. And that dream was reminding me, which was really a memory, reminding me of what was prophesied over me when I was 8 years old. That, 8 or 9, around that time, that I would be a pastor. And God was like, this is what I want you to do. Music has been a vehicle to help you do that, but it's not just about music alone. It's about pastoring my people. I want you to do that. So I give you that detail because from that point, everything changed for me. So when I came back stateside and I got out and all that stuff, everything was through the lens of, okay, clearly God wants me to be in ministry. How do I do that? How do I do that with now being married and having some kids as well? How do I do that in a way that honors my family and honors him to do what he's called me to do?
Okay, man, listen, you were making music. What is it that really made you stop? Because you can be a pastor and still do music.
Sure.
So what made you say, okay, these 2 albums, now I'm done for however much time?
Yeah. So I felt like I needed to, very practically, like it's just a lot of time. Like any creative doing anything, even like what we're doing right now, there's time that's devoted to it. So very practically, it's, having a young family, I'm like, I don't really have time to like really devote to this a whole lot. I still dabbled on the side a little bit, but it wasn't my primary focus anymore. The other thing the Lord revealed to me, this was years later, that I needed to stop was, man, I got signed to a record label. Even as a Christian, I did not have the character to keep me there. I was young-minded, newly married, and I kind of felt like the Holy Spirit was like, do you really want to know what that would have been like? Like, say I would have given you that, you would have blown all your money. You'd probably be divorced right now, all in the name of me, but you didn't have the practical skills and the character to keep you in that role as a signed artist somewhere. And once the Lord kind of revealed that to me, bro, I was like, okay, I get it. So that's kind of the why. That's why I stopped for a season. The other kind of dovetail of that was when God told me to focus on ministry and pastoring, I just became a sponge with any leader that would give me the time of day to learn from them, to step into what I feel like God wanted me to do.
Okay, so you went off to the military, you said in 2011.
Yep.
Towards the end of 2011 is when I went to college. I actually went to Dallas Baptist University.
Okay, DBU, come on.
You know, guns up, Patriots, all that good stuff. Anyways, so I'm at DBU and I start off as a music business major. Honestly, I'm doing that because I thought if I were to do biblical studies, which I feel like I was supposed to do in the first place, it'd just be too much writing.
Sure.
Like,
you're like it's too much.
Yeah, I don't want to do that much reading and I don't want to do that much writing. So I was like, what else do I kind of have a passion for? The music business, I'll do that. Eventually, after like the first semester, I'm like, let me do what I feel like I should do. And I switch my major. Then I meet some cool people, people like my guy, Street Hymns. I don't know if you know who that is.
I do.
And so I
familiar.
Met Street, and through him, I met a whole bunch of other people. And I'm like, all right, I need to get my personal study up. Because, I mean, DBU, they're teaching me a lot of stuff.
Sure.
But it's not nearly as much as I need to. Like, you don't go to class and they teach you who Ravi Zacharias is.
Right.
Like, I didn't learn apologetics through school. Right? And so I'm like, let me do some learning, some digging, figuring some stuff out.
Yeah.
What was it for you when you decided I'm going to be in ministry? What did you go to do more learning, to get more understanding?
Bro, this is such a good question. And so for me, I wanted to be around minds that I knew were in a season that I was not yet in, but wanted to be in. So mentors, even, because I was primarily in like the worship scene, I'm like people who have great voices, but their volunteer teams are healthy. Like they're great at stage command, like they're commanding the room, not in a way that's manipulative, but a way that points to Jesus while they're leading. And I've had a few different mentors that I could call right now that I would say I would attribute to probably like 4 different men that just took this young guy and then was like, man, you have so much pride and so much, you think you know it all. You think you're gifted and you are gifted, but you have so much pride that it ain't gonna matter. So, just to be quite honest, they kind of like beat that out of me, if I'm honest. Like they were just like, not only is that not Christ-like, it's also not going to get you very far. So, man, what I did was I intentionally just surrounded myself with great leaders. And now to be real though, that wasn't always as accessible as you might think. So while there was maybe one that was more in person, bro, I would watch different stuff. I watch different preachers. I'd watch podcasts, and I just became a student of the art of leading worship, the art of preaching, the art of leadership. And how do you do this thing while having a biblical worldview that makes sense? And it's not just I'm learning all these theological concepts so that way I could feel better about my walk with Jesus. It's not just that. It's also, how can I help others with their walk with Jesus and apply practically what we're learning to real life? Because I think sometimes there's this idea of like, I want to gain my knowledge, I want to get this degree, and that all that's great. But I think sometimes I'm doing this so I can feel better about who I am in Jesus. And it's like, if it stops there, then it becomes about you versus what God wants to do through you to reach people. So for me, I just became a sponge, bro. Anywhere I could get, learning from people, coaching. Now, there's also a level of humility in that, and I had to work through that too. Like, I was the guy that I just thought I knew everything. Every room I was in, I thought I knew something. And one of my mentors lovingly was just like, hey, man, and the way he said it was like, you need to know you need to know who you are in the room that you're in. There's going to be some rooms where you need to have the loudest voice. There's other rooms you just need to be quiet. And that was such good advice because I'm like, yeah, because I thought I was the person in every room. All right, I'm Antoine and I'm blah, 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 blah. And it's like, bro, be quiet and let these people that have years on you and experience and they've had mistakes that they don't want you to fall into, let them talk and you learn. How about you take a notepad out? So within all that, I became a student, but I also had to humble myself, bro, because I think there was this journey of acceptance that I was seeking after that came through me being a minister. And oftentimes you can't tell that that's really what it is, but I knew. I just wanted acceptance because I didn't have a father growing up and I bulked at male authority. So I came into every room thinking I had to be someone that needed to prove themselves when really I just needed to walk in and just receive.
Man, look, I want to go back to that because you mentioned before that growing up, your dad wasn't around. And I wasn't sure if I was going to get into it, but it just came up again. So I might as well ask a couple questions. One, how do you think specifically not having your dad around affected like your thought process?
Yeah.
And then two, as you get older, when do you realize that is actually something that's, what's the word? Like, when did you realize that was a problem for you? Like not having your dad around is a problem because I'm pretty sure growing up, it was just what you experienced.
Yes.
So you probably didn't know it was a problem because
Right.
you didn't know what it was like for him to be there.
Right.
But at what point did you realize, dang, I really wish he was here?
Yeah, you make a good point because growing up, it was like, oh, this is just life. There was no like philosophical or theological framework of like, this is not God's best for you. No, it was just, this is life. So it's good. I think, man, where I realized it was traced back to that and problematic in my life was anytime specifically a male in leadership would try to tell me something. And not just in church, even at my job, my military job and different jobs that I've worked. If I had a male supervisor, there was always tension. And of course, it was never my fault. It was never me.
Yeah, it's never your fault.
Never.
How could I be wrong?
Right. How could I be wrong? So it was never me. It was always them. And it would take other people that loved me, like I said before, loved me enough to say, hey, that's a thing that all I'm trying to do is give you some feedback right now. And you're taking it like a personal attack. So through that and even some therapy as well, I'm pro therapy. That helped me realize, that traces back to I had to figure out life and manhood without a father. And in some ways, I'm able to use that to help others. But in a lot of ways, it caused me to have a lot of identity issues, insecurity, and to look for that in ways that I really couldn't articulate. So when God did bring healthy men into my life, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So that was a thing. I think the other one, real quick, because this is another big one, was when I started having kids. Bro, when my wife and I started having kids, I was doing too much. I had to be the one to do all thing. And where there's this like stereotype that like men want to be like inactive. I was a complete antithesis of that. Like, I'm doing everything. I'll put the car seat in. I'll change the diapers. I'll rock the baby. Da 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 da. My in-laws be like, can we help? I'm like, no, we're good. I got it. And it's like, and my wife was just like, hey, she told me something so wise. After our oldest son, who's 12 now, but after he was born, she goes, hey, you don't have to do that. I'm like, well, do what? I'm like, I'm here right now. I'm trying to help you. And she's like, you're already doing more than what your dad did for you. You don't have to overcompensate like this. And you have nothing to prove. Bro, that broke me. I was like, but it's what I needed to hear. Because I was still trying to prove to my dad, who's no longer here even, that I was good enough. And it came through me now being a father to my kids.
Man, that's a lot. I know, so my dad, he also, for the most part, grew up without his dad. I mean, he didn't know who his dad was. He didn't meet him, spent a little time with him, but he didn't grow up with his dad. In fact, until a few years ago, I didn't know much of my grandfather.
Wow.
I mean, I'd seen him a couple times, But until a few years ago, I can remember seeing him, I think 3 times until a couple years ago. And my dad was also kind of like, I'm do everything, you know?
Yeah.
Like my dad, you'll see him. Well, eventually he made us do all the cleaning, but at first he would do all the cleaning. You'll see him. He would clean everything.
Yeah.
Until it was like, y'all go scrub them baseboards. Like, okay, I guess we're taking over the cleaning.
I guess it's my time. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, to see my dad washing clothes, not new, or to see him doing anything.
Wow.
We need something at school. He's probably the one driving to come to the school and do whatever, drop off for there. Like, my dad is super involved. But I personally think for some time he was overly involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that comes from him making sure that his kids never feel the way that he felt.
Yeah.
About
100%.
His relationship with his dad growing
100%.
up. So that's a big deal. And I heard you mention, you say your dad's not here anymore. So sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Was that a big moment for you when I don't know if you ever got to know him in the first place. Did you ever get to know him? And then what was it like to lose him?
Yeah. So quick backstory on that. So my parents got divorced when I was really young. My dad had visitation rights to me. He didn't have full custody. I was with my mom. But he had visitation rights every other Saturday. So that rhythm lasted until I was 12. And in the state of Texas, at least at this time, I'm not sure if it's still the same, but at 12, you can choose whether you want to still visit him or not, in my case. So I chose to still do it for a time. And my mom was, my mom did a great job of like not using her experience to shape mine with my dad, which I actually thought that was wise. There's a couple things that she would do, and I'm like, okay, that's because your experience with him. So, it wasn't perfect, but for the most part, she did a good job of that. I didn't have that experience like other kids do, where it's like my one parent bashes the other parent. My mom didn't do that. So even though it could have been warranted, a couple years later, I had a crazy conversation with my dad. I won some medals from band. I was in high school band. And I played saxophone, and I ended up winning an award, or I got a medal for a solo that I did, was what it was. Showed my dad the medals, and I got back home, and I lost them. So my mom was like, "Where's your medals?" I was like, "Oh, last time I had them was with my dad." She's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Mom, like he didn't take them. I had them. I just lost them." She goes, "You should call him and ask." So I call my dad and I ask him, and in this conversation, he goes from like seemingly loving, sweet dad to cussing me smooth out on the phone and leaving me in tears. Like, how could you blankety blank 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 call me out and say that I stole these from you? I would never do that. And I saw for the first time what my mom had been saying, that this is a side of your dad that I saw when we were together. First time though, at 14, all the years of my life at that point. So, that phone call ends. I'm crying. Can you imagine, right? That happens. So I'm broken, bro. That was the last time I'd ever talked to my dad.
That call was
that was our last call together.
The
last call. So I grow up, and this is now, again, into parenting and the marriage, into ministry. This is my framework of manhood through all the things that we've already discussed. So 2018, I okay, I gotta throw this detail in here. Okay, real quick. My oldest son, who is 12 now, he was 6 at the time. I think he was 6. We swear this dude has some kind of connection to the Holy Spirit, like it's unheard. So we're in the car, and he randomly goes, "Hey, Dad." I'm like, "What's up, buddy?" And now, mind you, he's never met my dad. He goes, "I think your dad's going to die." And me and my wife look at each other like, what did he just say?
So he just comes out just out the blue.
Just no.
Good Lord.
No preface, no warming up, leading up to it. He just says that. So I turn the music down. We're listening to something. Turn the radio down. I'm like, "Can you say that again?" He goes, "I think your dad's going to die." "Okay, what's for lunch?" And like just kept going. And I'm like, what the? Bro, like 3 weeks later, I found out my dad died.
Whoa.
So, So that happens. My mom was living with us at the time, and they got funeral arrangements together. Da 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 da. And she's like, "I'll go with you." I was like, "No, it's okay. Like, I know this might be awkward for you, so don't feel like you got to go. I know it's been a long time, but you're good." So our mentors at the time went with us, my wife and I, to the funeral. Now, mind you, at this funeral, I am one of four brothers from my dad's side. I have three older brothers that are older than me. One unfortunately passed away, so there's three of us now. But we're all at the funeral, and I'm hearing all these people say all these things about my dad that are like awesome things. His name was Collins. Mr. Collins would like help us do this. He'd come mow my yard for me. He'd help my kid with their homework. And I'm going, I don't know who the heck y'all are talking about, but this is not the guy that I know, because the last time we talked was he cussed me out. So here's what I learned at this funeral. Somehow after that conversation, my dad turned his life around, gave his life to Jesus, and totally became this other person. And throughout that time of I'm growing up, still having this narrative of him, that no longer existed because he had changed. And I talked to his wife, who technically was my stepmom, and she was like, "You remember me?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am." And she goes, "Hey, I want you to know something." And I'm like, here we go. What's she about to say? She goes, "Your dad loved you." And I'm like, "Of course you would say that, but the evidence is not there."
I'm not seeing
Yeah. She goes, "No, your dad loved you. He was, right before he died, he passed away from leukemia is what happened. And it kind of went fast. He was in his last days. He had a picture of me and him. And on the back of that picture was starting to write a letter apologizing to me and wanted to basically start the pathway of reconciliation and how we could have a relationship as adults."
Oh, wow.
So I never got to see that. And a friend of mine was like, "How you doing?" Because I told him all about all this. He's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." And shout outs to Daniel if you're watching this, because you're my homie, man. He goes, "Are you grieving the lack of relationship that you didn't have with your dad? Or are you grieving the relationship that you could have had based upon the information you have now about him wanting to reach out?" And I'm like, probably both. Yeah. But it messed me up, bro. But I can sit here, and I give you all that context, because I can sit here and rest knowing that even though I did not get to see that version of my dad, I know where he is.
Yeah.
And how that's affected me is I can hold the tension of, even though I did not get to see that on earth, that my dad did finally come to Jesus, and he's with the Father right now. Man. And even though I didn't get to see that, that doesn't have to affect me, and I can walk in forgiveness.
Yeah, that's awesome right there. There's few things that are better than knowing somebody actually got it right with Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Few things. And I know that there's probably tons of tension and hurt connected between the two of you, but I can't think of, for someone who sits in our position in ministry, something that could help relieve that tension more than knowing, hey, he did turn from his ways. And
yeah, man.
He was going down a new path. That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
So let's get back to you getting to where you are now.
Yeah.
What's the first church stateside that you actually become a staff member of?
So that would have been Life Church. I was at Life Church, Craig Rochelle, Life Church. They're based out of Oklahoma, and that was like my first on staff. This is my job at a church, kind of role. And that was in 2019. Did that for 5 years.
Okay, Life Church. So what's your official position at Life Church?
Yeah, I was a worship pastor.
Okay, mm-hmm. Okay. And then, so now you're a campus pastor now.
Yes, sir.
So that I'm assuming everything that happens on that campus falls under you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What's the transition from worship pastor to campus pastor?
Yeah, man. There's a lot there. So I'll give the abridged version of it. But man, honestly, like I told you before, music has been a continual thread in my story. And even to this day, even sitting here now, I've got some music that I'm working on, and but being a worship pastor and everything I'd done to that point with a little bit of youth ministry in there, that was kind of like the moment of like, I got a staff position at a church, and it's like obviously ministry is a calling and there's purpose and it's an assignment. But on a very practical note, I was like, man, I worked for this.
Yeah, I got here.
I worked to get to this. Yeah. So I was like, man, I'll do this till I die. Like, I'll be a worship pastor forever. Like, I love this. And man, so we had moved around a little bit with Life Church too, different campuses. But I love being a worship pastor. I loved my team. I loved singing. I loved leading. I loved having conversations about the significance of worship in your walk with Jesus. Like, I love that conversation. So about probably a year and a half before what I'm doing now, I started just feeling like the Lord was like, hey, like, just there's something coming. There's something different coming. And it was confusing because honestly, I didn't know how to talk about it, because I felt like if I talked about it with those that, like my coworkers or even friends of mine, I didn't want it to come off like ungrateful, like I was ungrateful with the season that I'm in. Mm. But I'm like, I do feel like the Lord is stirring something different. And honestly, I didn't know how to communicate it. So my wife and I, several conversations throughout a year and a half of like, I think there is a shift coming. We love our church, and God might be asking us to do something different somewhere else. And, now mind you, my kids got saved there. They got baptized there as well. So it's like, this was our church, man. So it wasn't just a job, it was our church. So about a year and a half, started feeling that. And then last year, it kind of all really came to a point where I started to feel like there was just more that God wanted to do through me. And I use that word more, not to say that what I was doing was less than, but just for me personally, that there was a different assignment coming, and it was more than what I was currently carrying, and didn't have words for it. But processed with a couple of trusted friends of mine and some mentors, and it came down to a point to where like, I think God's in this. So ended up stepping away from Life Church with no job.
Oh, that's not recommended.
So it's not recommended practically, man, but the Lord was like, I need you to do this. And there was kind of conversations with Lake Point happening where I'm at now, but there was nothing solid. So it was like, I left, and God, the word that I got, bro, was Hebrews 11:1. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That was the word that I had. And I wasn't doing nothing super spiritual. I was like on a walk. I was walking around my neighborhood, and God was like, Hebrews 11:1. And I'm like, okay, what? He's like, that's what I want you to do. So we left, bro. No financial plan, no job. And this is now timeline wise, because we're kind of coming up around the same time now, but timeline wise, this was like October into November. So you got Thanksgiving coming, you got Christmas coming. I'm like, how am I going to get presents for the babies, for Jazz? Like, it's like, I'm asking myself all these like very practical internal questions. And God's just like, man, if you don't like, chill out.
I'm not worried about that right now.
Yeah, like, I need you to be obedient. So we were obedient. And similar to the reaction you just had, everybody was like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't suggest it.
I don't suggest. Yeah. So even talking to people, they'd be like, oh, man, we're going to miss you. Da-da-da, people at church. What are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Woo. And they're like, oh, okay. So are you going to lead worship anywhere? I'm not sure. Oh, so are you going to do like a normal job and still kind of, I don't know. They're like, okay, we'll be praying for you. And it was like this, I could tell for them it was awkward. But I'm like, as awkward as this moment is, I know what God told me. Yeah. It was tough, bro, because on a very practical note, it did not make any sense. So moving forward, a few weeks later, conversations with Lake Point kind of increased. And we were all trying to see if this was something that was good for my family and also good for the church. Went through a couple interviews, and then we prayed about it over Thanksgiving break of like, some of my top leaders and it was just like, hey, let's pray. Let's see what God wants to do. We don't want to just make a decision because it feels good. We want to ensure God's in it. So after Thanksgiving break, we all came back, and they were like, hey, man, how would you like to lead the North Dallas location of Lake Point. We think you're the right guy. We think all the things that God's doing in you right now, your gifting, your personality, like all the things, we think you and your family would be perfect for this location. How would you like to do it? And I was just like, yeah, like
Wow.
we're here. I feel like God's in it. Let's go. So yeah, man.
That's interesting. So as the head pastor of a multi-campus church, you're over the North Dallas location specifically.
Yes, sir.
Does this mean you have a preaching and teaching role, or how does that exactly work out? Because I've seen some places where it's like, yeah, we have a pastor here, but the pastor at the main campus, he preaches, and then they just shoot the video over here.
Yeah.
And our pastor don't really do preaching. He's just like the head administrator.
Yeah.
How does that work for you in your role?
Yeah, so we were that. What the last thing you said, that's our model. So Pastor Josh will preach from platform on Saturdays and Sundays. He'll do every service because he's incredible to do that. His stamina is unmatched. So he'll preach all of those services, and we'll stream him in on Sunday mornings because we do Sundays. Some campuses have Saturdays as well. We only do Sundays at mine. So yeah, we'll stream him in via broadcast, and I'll have like some, like we call them host moments, where I'll get up there, I'll welcome the church, and then I'll speak at the end as well, just to kind of give a local touch to our people. And here's the thing, I love to preach. I love to teach. Like that is something I do feel like God's given me a gifting in, and in this season, I'm okay with not doing it as much. And I've gotten to preach like at our youth group a couple of times, which is amazing. I love it. But I don't preach on the weekend. And you would think like for a preacher, that'd be like attention. But man, as much as I love doing that, while I'm not preparing a message, I get to be with people more.
Yeah. So you get to do more, because I feel like a lot of people think that the role of a pastor is simply to preach on Sunday. Which
it's an aspect of it.
If it was as simple as that, I might be more willing to walk into that office.
Sure.
But a role of a pastor is so much more.
Yeah.
Do you mind just explaining like what all does it actually entail to actually be a pastor?
Yeah, man. So pastors are shepherds, and that's not just like a cute church word. Like it's a real thing. Like if you think about what shepherds do, shepherds are with sheep. And sometimes sheep are foolish, and sometimes sheep are lost, and sometimes they try to run out the grouping of other sheep, and it's the whole leave the 99 to go chase the one, and it's like that's my life, and I love it though. Like I love being with people. So for me, and of course different churches and denominations and cultures, there'll be nuances of this that are different, but by and large, what I do as a pastor, man, is I meet with people and help them navigate life, but not just like as a coach, but as someone who points them to Jesus.
Yeah.
How do we take what we're learning from the scriptures and actually apply that to how we live life in the midst of hard things and in the midst of victorious things? And I get to be a person that sits down with people, even similar to how we're doing right now, and just say, how can I help?
Yeah.
That's what I get to do.
Man, it's awesome. My dad's a pastor, and I'll be honest with you, I've seen some of the stuff he and other pastors have gone through because of your role, you're so intertwined with people.
Yeah.
Which leaves you open. Everybody talks about church hurt, what the church did to them.
Sure.
Nobody talks about what the church did to the pastor.
Sure.
You mad because the pastor corrected you, which he probably was supposed to do.
You're right.
But you didn't tell people what you did or said about pastor, or
Right.
what you said about pastor's family, who he's supposed
right.
to. All that stuff is left out.
Yes.
And so it's like, do I really want to be a pastor?
Yeah.
I'll speak when I'm called on.
Sure.
I'll give my message, and I'll let somebody else
Sure.
handle all of y'all. I don't want to be Moses, okay? You can.
Yeah.
Somebody else can have that.
Well, and even just real quick on what you're saying, bro, like, like as we're getting to know each other, and I've seen the cool things that you're doing, like what you're doing is necessary though, because pastors can't necessarily do what you're doing specifically while also having the mantle of a group of people at a local church body. Mm-hmm. So it's beautiful when the body that has many members gets to partner with other people that are in ministry. I think for so long, being a pastor was like, I'm called to ministry, so I guess I'll be a pastor. It's like, no, you're called to ministry. Like, do what God has called you to do within your giftings and your passions and assignment for that season. That does not have to look like vocational ministry. Like, I'm called to this specifically, but honestly, my assignment is to be the campus pastor at Lake Point North Dallas right now. But honestly, I feel like my purpose, bro, is to do this. My purpose is to help others discover their purpose. So we don't like to talk about this, but honestly, I could do that as a campus pastor or a janitor.
Come on.
I could do that as a receptionist or, someone who's doing retail or someone who's doing construction. That doesn't change even if the assignment does. Now, specifically, I do feel called to this assignment, but I think sometimes we think it has to be, I'm a pastor to do ministry for the Lord.
Man, yeah, that's good. Speaking of the things that you do, though, so you mentioned you put out a couple albums, you stopped rapping, but if I'm remembering correctly, you're getting back to it. You're getting back to the music. Is this right?
Yeah,
all right,
man.
so what leads you back into making music, and like what can we expect and see from you moving forward?
Man, I appreciate that. So, I did. One of the things in stepping into this new season is I did feel like the Lord released me to do music again, which is exciting because there was a part of me, and I needed to grieve the fact that for such a long time I was in the worship scene specifically. So I did grieve that, which you should do. Like if something means something to you, you need to grieve it if you're leaving it. But the Lord made a clear distinction. I felt it in my spirit, but also through one of my mentors as well. He said it. And he was like, hey, Antoine, like, proud of you in this next season, what you're about to do, all of that. And your voice is necessary for the kingdom. You need to continue to do music. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, I'm getting back to Christian hip hop, and even just music in general in the Christian scene. So I'm currently working on an album right now, which is fun. From the creative side, it's fun to just get back to that after not doing it for so long. And even just like the recording and all the things that go into that. I love it all, man. I love the process as much as I even love the final product.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. One of these days I might get into making a little bit of music.
Come on, man.
Music it's really fun to me. So like I grew up, one of the times I do remember my grandfather doing something for me is he bought us, well, not just for me, for us, he bought us a drum set in like 98 or something like that.
Okay, all right.
So I've been playing drums ever since then.
Okay.
Right. And I've dabbled in a few things here or there. But every once in a while I just get an urge like, this would be real fun. Like I could see myself really enjoying to really like put some real effort into making.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do an album, but do a real song here or there or something like that. Like it'd be a good time. Like recently I was I took my significant other on a date to a DJ thing where they taught you how to DJ.
Okay, that's what's up.
I was like, I gotta learn to do this now. I gotta buy turntables
now.
Yeah. I gotta do
Yeah.
It was just so much fun to me. I truly enjoy it. And so it's really cool to see that something that you've enjoyed for so long.
Yeah, bro.
Even though in a way you walked away from it, but it's like, nah, you still have it. And you never ultimately have to walk away from it.
Right.
You just walked away from the way you were positioned in it.
And I think too, 14, 15 years later, whatever it is, I was talking to a friend of mine and I'm like, even in that, it looks different now. I was so focused on making it in the music industry. Now I'm like, I just want to be faithful, bro. I just want to be obedient. And I never, hindsight's 2020 and, you learn things and you grow, but I never thought I would get to that place because it was about getting signed to a record label. All my hip hop heroes, they're signed. So if I want to be like them, I got to get signed too. And now, man, I'm like, would it be dope for my music to land on some chart somewhere? Yeah, great. But ultimately, I just want to be obedient to what God's put in me. And so it's even different and more fun now that I've taken the pressure for it to have to be something, what we would think in our humanistic way of thinking, something monumental to prove that it was worth the time. It's like, no, the proof is that, God put it in me.
Absolutely.
And then I need to do it because of that, not the pressure for it to be worldly successful.
Man, and real quick, who are some of your hip hop heroes? Because I know some people that growing up I was listening to, but who did you really enjoy?
Yeah, man. So I hit a couple. Let me go secular. I'm gonna throw a little grenade. I don't know if that offends anybody, but I'll go secular real quick because I think it matters. So I think someone as a lyricist, Andre 3000, bro. From
Like
Outkast.
pretty much everybody who grew up around our time.
Yes, bro. Like just his lyrical ability, you know, song formation, all the things, you know, what even Outkast as a whole, Big Boy included, but 3 Stacks for me specifically, just I love good lyrics. I'm a lyricist. So I like, you know, double entendres and like, you know, you rhyme that with the next line and the next line, but in between that you had a whole metaphor that we missed. I love that kind of stuff in lyricism. So he really embodied that for me from just a secular side in general. I think on the Christian side, I mentioned a couple, but Lecrae, what I love about Lecrae is still found a way to make his music relevant throughout. Because I mean, his first album was like 2003, I think. So it's like from that to now, and he's even talked about it too of just his journey, but not just his journey as a human, but even as an artist has grown. And he's been able to put out music that's relevant for each time period, I feel like, of a couple of generations, you know, like millennials to Gen Zs and now Gen Alpha's coming. Like he's been able to kind of hit all those and still be relevant, where a lot of cats who've been in the game as long as he has are probably retired and that's okay. But I just think he's found a way to still be able to do it.
Sure.
So him, Tripley's another one, bro. Tripley, anybody from 116, bro. Like just Tripley, I mean Tadashi, like those guys are, and they really helped make Christianity cool for me back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I was like, Christianity's whack, but I'm like, oh, they're rapping and they talk about Jesus. Okay, I guess Christianity can be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So one of the guys I was rapping with them back in the day is Show Baraka.
Yes, bro. I love Show too.
He's got a new album coming out. He hasn't put out music in a long time.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
But a guy that I actually want to get on the podcast is The Truth.
I would love
Truth on Duty. So Mr. Emmanuel Lambert, if you see this, brother,
come through.
We need you on How Pastors Are Made.
We know you are in Atlanta, but come through.
You know, I will gladly go to him. I travel. I take this wherever the pastors are. That's usually where I go.
Yeah, bro.
So,
okay.
Yeah, wherever he is, I will gladly come to you. I would love to have Truth on here because I want to learn more of his journey. Thankfully, as an artist, he's told us a lot. He let us know about his dad and his upbringing.
Yep.
But I mean, you don't know the real story.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one person I'm looking forward to. He's not a pastor anymore, but he's still quite clearly in ministry. I want to know how he became the guy he is.
I think what I love about Truth, since you brought him up, is he's a theologian too.
Absolutely.
So like you can hear that through his lyrics.
Absolutely.
So like, he was another one in that kind of group where like I would listen to him to like learn about theology in a lot of ways. Because he was like spitting stuff. I'm like, I don't even know what any of this means, but it's good, you know?
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Truth has so many songs that I have like dang near preached, to be honest with you.
Bro, it's good.
So like when he said, y'all remember Gideon, right? Good man, good dude. Yeah, God told Gideon fight. Yep. Then God told Gideon slice his men down to 3. I was like, oh, he's literally giving the story.
Yes.
I was like, this guy. Anyway, yeah, I think Truth is phenomenal, along with some other people.
For sure.
But he's one that I literally like. I got to get him on the show one of these days,
bro. I'll be praying for that.
Absolutely.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. But so moving forward, you are now a pastor, and you know, wife and kids, but you got some other things coming up. I know you've got a podcast.
Yes.
What's happening with that?
Yeah, man. So I in all the endeavors that you kind of brought up in this new season. Something that I felt really led to do it for a couple years now, and the timing wasn't right before, but I do feel like the timing is right now. That I'm releasing a podcast. Yeah, it's called Humble, where we talk about the real stuff, and the whole thing behind that. Honestly, man, it's really similar to what you're doing here, Miles. Like it's very similar to like creating a space to hear stories and the exchange perspectives. And my whole goal is kind of with some things I've even shared today and some of it more detailed in some episodes. My story coming out is one aspect of it. and creating a space for vulnerability. That's another aspect of it. And the final thing is, as people come on, that there's space for them too. And all in an effort for us to be humbled by God and to walk in humility with him. So I'm really excited, man. I've already got some stuff recorded, and it's gonna come out real soon. I'm excited about it.
That's really cool. I like seeing pastors that are not just stuck in church, but you're like, nah, this is like, you live a real life.
Yeah,
you've had a real life. You were really in the military, right? You experience having your dad around, and then just as a teen, he's just gone.
Yeah,
right. These are real experiences that shape you in all kinds of ways. You mentioned being prideful and needing somebody to break that.
Yeah.
I really wish more people could see, like, as believers, we're not detached from the world that we live in or from the problems. Like, we're all going through the same problems. We all have the same issues, right? Like, it's nothing that somebody outside the church is dealing with that somebody in the church isn't dealing with. We just have slightly different solutions, or in addition to the solution.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? Yep. So I appreciate you for doing that right there, because it really helps. And it makes people, part of the reason for this show is to help people see that pastors are real.
Yeah, man.
Not perfect.
Yep.
We're all following Jesus, and God is choosing to use real people to help other people in our real situations, right?
Yeah.
And I think your show will also do that, just to help people understand, like, yes, they're Christians, no, they're not perfect, and that's why they're calling on Jesus.
Yep. Every day. I saw this thing some time ago where somebody was like, do you need the Holy Spirit to navigate this Christian life? And the other person was like, bro, you need the Holy Spirit to go to Walmart, bro. Like, you and I'm
everything.
I'm like, that's so true though. But you're right, man. I think sometimes any platform, pastors, CEO, whatever, like when your platform gets elevated, I don't think it's all bad. I think sometimes people want to make it all bad. I don't think it's bad. I think how you navigate it could be bad.
Absolutely.
So platforms are not necessarily bad, but sometimes there's a pressure when you have a platform to be a duplicitous person. And I think for me, that's one of my biggest things. I want to be the same guy that's at church that goes home to my kids. And I want my kids with full integrity to say, oh yeah, dad's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Dad would have said that to y'all and to us. Like, not this like, oh, dad's at church. Hello. And how are you? It's like, nah, man, like I am that guy, but I'm also like, hey, let me sit in the trenches with you and let's talk about real things.
Yeah.
So I think this podcast is an expression of something I felt for a long time, to just really sit down like this with people and be like, I want to give you the space to share the real stuff in a way that can actually help people. Because on Sunday morning, we don't have the time for that. We just don't, like, and not that it's, not that we don't ever want to create spaces for people to do that, but when you have an hour service, typically churches, unless it's like Pentecostal Black church or something, but a lot of churches now, most churches have about an hour, maybe hour and a half service time. You can't do this like that and sit down with the pastor or sit down with another believer in Jesus. So like things like this are important to be able to see the nuances of even how we do the Christian life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get out of here, first of all, do you have any other things that are coming up that people should know about, should be on the lookout for?
Yeah. Depending on the release of this podcast, October 3rd is the release of my podcast called Humble, where you talk about the real stuff. So be on the lookout for that. Got some music coming out. Not sure on the timeline and all that, but hopefully by early next year, I'll have some stuff solidified. Outside of that, man, I'm just loving the season I'm in as, pastoring my church, but more than that, being a father that my kids want to actually be around.
Come on now.
And, being a husband that my wife is like, oh yeah, like he really does do a good job leading our family and he loves me for me.
That right there is something that cannot be understated. Being a father that the kids actually want to be around. Like that's a big deal. And to be a husband, KB said it in the song. He said, my wife happy and Jesus loves me. There's nothing left to conform to.
Facts.
My wife's happy.
Facts.
And Jesus loves me.
Facts.
Like, I think that's so important. And I think that's something that I might deal with in some other areas later on, and just making sure that as men we realize that there's two things outside of loving Jesus that we need to get right.
Yes.
And those two things are how we show up for our wives.
Yes.
And how we show up for our kids.
Yes.
Everything else falls under that some far way down the list.
Yeah.
Like even when it comes to ministry, scripture makes it clear, like your first ministry is not pastoring that church.
Facts.
Your first ministry is that wife
Yes.
and those kids. Until you get that right, don't even worry about this.
Yeah. I heard Tim Ross say this on one of his podcasts, The Basement. He's like, Jesus died for his bride, you die for yours. You don't need to die for Jesus's bride. Our church is as much as I love it and they love me, they can find another pastor.
Absolutely. And they will.
They will. Why? Because the mission has to keep going.
Absolutely.
So it's not a bad thing. They do need, if something ever happened to me, they do need to find someone else. But my wife only has one Antoine.
That's it.
So I need to get that right. And out of the overflow of getting that right, I'm able to do other things.
Man, I love it. Lastly, is there anything that you would like to say before we get out of here? Anything at all?
Yeah, I just think shows like this are important. Conversations like this are important. And I think one of the things for believers in Jesus, whether you're a pastor, whether you are just a faithful believer in Jesus serving at your church, or you just go to work every day and you're trying to be a witness, conversations like this matters because people may see you for your strengths, but really they will connect with you through your weaknesses. And your vulnerability, oftentimes God will use that to facilitate a beautiful conversation.
Absolutely.
So I think we need to do more things like this. So that'd be my encouragement to anybody who's watching this. Like, are pastors real people? Yes, we are. We go through things. We go through life. I have a probably natural more temperament of joy, but I don't always feel that. Like, the joy of the Lord is my strength is one of my favorite scriptures because it literally is my strength. On days where it's hard and days where I don't feel it, I still get up every day because I know there's a God that's with me. But we got to be real about the human experience and invite the Holy Spirit into that human experience.
Absolutely, man. Well, man, getting out of here, I want to say thank you so much for stopping by, man, and spending some time being open and honest with me. You don't have to share the things that you shared. And you definitely don't have to be honest and say something like I was prideful and it had to be broken. There's things that, everybody's not willing to just be honest about, but I appreciate you for being willing to go there. And I'll be honest, I have some things in mind, so hopefully I can have you back for some of those other things that I have in mind. I'll tell you about that some other time.
I'd be honored.
But man, I really want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you. And anybody who's watching, this is how pastors are made, where we go through the good, the bad, the ugly, ups and downs of becoming and being a pastor. If you enjoy content like this, if you enjoy good Christian content, please consider donating. You can go to howpastorsaремade.com, scroll down, hit the donate button. That goes to us being able to produce more content and being able to produce better content and getting equipment and being able to travel and get to places and bring in pastors, your pastors, the ones you want to hear from, the ones you like, so we can get their story and just be able to do more things. And I got more Christian content outside of this that I want to produce.
Come on.
So howpastorsaремade.com, scroll to the bottom, hit the donate page, and you can also suggest a pastor. If you are a pastor and you want to share your story, howpastorsaремade.com. Click the link, put your info in there. We would love to speak to you and get your story out and see how we can help you in sharing your passion, your dream, your vision. That being said, that's today's episode. Once again, brother, thank you so much. We're getting out of here.
Come on, man. Thank you so much.